Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the In Vivo Quest Tour 2020-2021. I'm delighted to be the moderator for this conference. It will be a 1-hour conference today, October 20th, 2020. My name is Marie-Cécile Damave. I'm the Head of Innovation and International Affairs in a think tank named Agridées. So In Vivo Quest is actually an innovation challenge that takes place on an annual basis. This is the 4th edition, and it tries to identify and select a number of agtech and foodtech companies across Europe to see who makes some innovative solutions for addressing a number of challenges that agriculture is facing right now, namely climate change and transitions in farming. So this year, the In Vivo Quest Tour is segmented into 7 sessions taking place all across Europe. And currently, it's the 3rd session focusing on Eastern European countries. So the title of this conference today is Cross-Looks on the Digitalization of Farming in Eastern and Western Europe. We're going to have 4 different speakers, 2 speakers from Eastern European countries, namely Bulgaria and Ukraine, giving us some perspectives about the situation of agriculture and digital agriculture in these countries, what kind of needs, what kind of solutions are being developed, what's the context in these countries for such solutions. And then we will have 2 other speakers representing companies that belong to Byline by In Vivo and that propose some digital solutions for farmers and for technicians in France. So before we start this roundtable discussion, I wanted to tell you who are looking at this conference online. I need to tell you that you have a Q&A button on the bottom of your screen and that you're welcome to ask questions. Through this button, please don't use the chat button, but use the Q&A button, and then we'll take your questions or remarks whenever it makes sense. We won't wait until the end of the hour of discussion. We'll take them as they come and as speakers have the floor. Okay, so I'd like first to go around the table for self-introductions for each of our speakers. Svetlana, ladies first. Svetlana Boyanova, you're the chairperson for the Institute for Agrostrategies and Innovations in an AgroHub.BG. It's one of the European smart agri-hubs. You're based in Bulgaria, and I wanted you to introduce yourself and the organization that you're working in.
Thank you very much, Marie. Yes, my name is Svetlana Boyanova, and I'm from Bulgaria, based in Sofia. I'm chairing the Institute for Agrostrategies and Innovations, which is a non-government, non-for-profit organization. As the name it shows, it is related to the Common Agricultural Policy and also for the innovations, and that's why the second part made me to create the Digital Innovation Hub, which is a hub under the Digital Europe program of the European Union, and we took part from Smart Agri Hubs network for all digital innovation hubs for agriculture and food.
Thank you very much, Svetlana. Pierre Poullain, you're French and you're the CEO and co-founder of Valeur-Tech. Valeur-Tech is actually a consultancy company, and you know really well Ukraine and farming in Ukraine. And you're going to tell us about this country.
Thank you, Marie-Cécile. So Valeur-Tech has been founded 3 years ago, and we have consulting activity in the field of agtech and agri-data. And since the beginning, we're working in three geographies, France, Morocco, and Ukraine. And Ukraine is actually one of the most active and dynamic market for us, where we see a lot of innovation, a lot of adoption, and really interesting business model around AgTech and AgriData. I'm really pleased to give few words and give some outlook today on this situation in Ukraine, as well as in Russia, Kazakhstan, and some part of Romania.
Very good. Thank you. Mélanie Reversat, you're the lead product manager in SMAG. So SMAG is one of the digital farming companies that we've known for several years now. One of the first companies in France that has worked on digital softwares for farming.
Yes, hi. So my name is Mélanie Reversat. I'm French, as you can hear. I'm working at SMAG, which is a Bioline by In Vivo company. I'm a lead of product management, which in the software world means that I'm working with our customers, users, and a development team to be able to give our customers and users digital solutions that will help them solve their issues. So in this area, there are agricultural issues. As you said, SMAG is one of the French company which has been working on solving these kind of issues for the farmers since 20 years now.
Mm-hmm. That's quite a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Thierry Darbin, you're the director of BAP. So I understand BAP is purely in precision agriculture. It's sort of one step further than SMAG in digital farming, if I understand well.
Effectively, yes. So first, I apologize for my terrible French accent, but I hope you will understand what I will say. So BAP, it's a new company specialized in precision farming, and we advise and support co-ops and their farmers in the implementation of this mode of production. BAP was launched in 2017, so we are very young. We work with more than 3 co-ops across France. We presently have 1,000 users cultivating around 200,000 hectares. Our design office includes 6%, or Agridées 4%, and we have 3 network animators supporting co-ops, sellers, and co-ops agronomists. All field measurements are carried out by external service providers who are subject to quality control. Soil analysis are carried out by 4 main independent laboratories whose quality is continuously monitored. We use a lot of aerial and satellite pics.
Yes, thank you, Thierry. We'll go more into details when you have the floor a little later. And this was just some short self-introductions. Okay, sorry to cut you here, but we need to carry on. Okay, so Svetlana, let's start with you and tell us about agriculture in Bulgaria in general. What is agriculture in Bulgaria? What does it consist of mainly? What are the leading productions? And what kind of needs are there among farmers and stakeholders in agriculture in Bulgaria for digital innovation? And then tell us about your innovation hub.
Yes, thank you very much. And first of all, I want to thank you because we don't have a really chance to show up, but we have. And we have things that we want to share with you. Maybe it's good to know what is agriculture in Bulgaria, just a short picture. So next slide, please. As you can see, we have approximately 5 million hectares from the territory of Bulgaria, approximately 47%, which is for agricultural use. The percentage in gross value added is not so high as I wish to say, but We are very much producing cereals mainly for exporting, especially wheat and sunflower. For example, for wheat, we have 6 million tons per 2018, and this is approximately each year. For sunflower, also very good, 2 million tons. Regarding the fruit, you can see some of the fruits we are producing, but for example, apple production is reducing slowly. Cherry is self-sufficient enough. For the vegetables, I can say tomatoes and cucumbers, we are presenting very well. Potatoes and tomatoes and watermelons as well. We have competitors, of course, mainly from neighbors. Regarding livestock production, we are mainly focused on cow production for milk. And I must say that Bulgaria is with very good positions in poultry and pig production. It is very maybe curious for you all to know, but that we are very good producers of lavender and rose, Bulgarian oil rose. But for lavender, I must say for 2018, we produced 35,000 tons of lavender. And with France, we are, let's say, in this market sitting very well. Next slide. This is something to have in mind. Of course, as each farmer, in the European Union, our farmers also have challenges. Working in common agricultural policy is very difficult to maybe make a difference between countries, but for Bulgaria, the main challenges is irrigation. Why? Because during the communist time, after the communist time, the irrigation national system was somehow broken, and this is causing problems for our farmers. Still, under land relations are not so clear because the restitution is still not finished in Bulgaria. You know, the owners and different users of the land, they are not with very good legal relations, let's say, between them still. What else? As maybe most of the European farmers, our farmers also should meet some environmental and climate changes. For example, reducing the plant protection products, also fertilizers, but also increasing the production of organic farming, which is the main purpose of currently Farm to Fork strategy of the European Union. So a lot should be done, especially regarding the climate. And unfortunately, the population is getting older. This is also the case in the agricultural sector in Bulgaria. So these demographic changes are very big challenge in Bulgaria. And you know, with elder people, it's very difficult to educate them for digital technology. So that's why I put lack of digital skills is also a challenge. Next slide, please. What we decided to do as the Institute for Agrostrategies Innovations in 2018, during the presidency of Bulgarian Council, European Council, Bulgaria made a very big event, and that was the starting point with the political level, with farmers, with experts, to join efforts and to see how digital technologies could help to meet these challenges from my previous slides. And we put some, for me, pillars that we should follow. And if we want to have a more competitive agriculture, where digital technologies could help. So first, you can see this is the infrastructure. This is the broadband in rural areas, and access to broadband for farmers. Also, we definitely would like to see more investment in digital technologies for precision agriculture. I'm speaking here in different holdings. It doesn't matter small or big farms are these. Also, we need to make some training and consultations for farmers. Research and innovation, this is very much, let's say, behind the others, I can say. And here we put the role of Digital Innovation Hub, where the scientists and researchers and farmers and NGOs and banks, financial institutions could work together for concrete topics. Of course, we put some efforts that should be done for the digitization of public administration, administrative services, not only for the subsidies for the farmers, but also for daily life of the farmers. And something which is maybe for you a surprise, but also we put blockchain technology as an option to be developed in order to connect farmers and consumers, and to make the supply chain of food more visible, more traceability to be more visible, and also to have more trust between all the stakeholders with the supply chain. Next slide. Yes, what is also we have to take into account, this is the farm to fork strategy and also the CAP strategic plan. This is common agricultural plan. Each country, each member state should develop this strategic plan. The most interesting part related to digital agriculture is the proposed eco schemes. One of these eco schemes, which will be voluntary for the farmers, but obligatory to be structure to be created from the member states, is the precision farming, where I can see some possibility for farmers to go digital, and also some investment measures in rural development program. For example, it could be investment measure or cooperation measures where operational groups under the European Innovation Partnership, they could collaborate, science, researchers and farmers. Next slide, please. I said we want to do it in practice, but we have to have a structure body that should be like innovative broker between all the involved people, especially in the core is the farmer. And we want to provide him with these opportunities of digital technologies. That's why we established the Digital Innovation Hub, AgroHub.BG, where it should be. We started last year. Unfortunately, it is very new. It took time to attract people and to explain what exactly we are going to do. This should be one-stop shop for digital innovations, and mainly for Bulgarian farmers and other stakeholders. Farmers can meet the IT people. IT people can make the products and ideas more close to the needs of the farmers, because I know every startup, every digital person has idea, but it should be really practical, and it should be in correlation with the needs of Bulgarian farmers. Of course, we are as a hub open for international cooperation. That's why I accepted this invitation by my heart. To thank InVivo, because this is really a great channel, a great platform to connect people in agri-food, because agri-food, as it is proof already, it is sector with maybe behind the rest of the industries in European Union regarding digital technology. And the next slide. Here, of course, these are the services. The main for me services is that we should work more is the testing and validation. It is skills in education. It is access to finance for both sides, for farmers and for startups. And also innovative brokering and making network links between the people, because this is very important to start talk each other for the concrete problems. And that's what for me.
Thank you very much, Svetlana. This is very clear. So it's a very challenging, actually, project that you have here. It's really to organize the various stakeholders and sort of make farmers and technology providers talk to each other and have some match between supply and demand. Okay, so international collaboration. That's also an interesting point from you. I'd like to turn to Pierre now. Pierre, for a description of the situation in Ukraine. So like Svetlana, could you please describe us the organization of agriculture in Ukraine? I understand it's very different from what we know in Western European countries, with the importance of these major stakeholders that are agro holdings.
Thank you, Marie-Cécile. So I'm really glad to give a few words, and I introduce my speech outlook and cross-look. And I'll speak especially on one type of farming that is present in Ukraine, that is large-scale farming. That is notably, it's a type of farming that is present in Ukraine, but you can find it as well in Russia or Kazakhstan, where agro-holding that are either financial organization or large company are managing big farms. When we are speaking big farms, it can start at 10,000 hectares up to 1 million hectares in Russia. For instance, the largest farm in Ukraine is farming actually 600,000 hectares. That is actually three French departments. And this kind of company are really pushing for innovation or for digitization in this part of Europe. But with a global view and with an ability to connect with several ecosystems like Canada or the US. And this ecosystem is quite different from our ecosystem. It's really interesting to learn from them. So on the next slide, I gave just 5 ideas just to understand the key difference. The first one is really the size. Really understand that when we're speaking big farm in France, it could reach 1,000, 2,000 hectares. But whereas when we're speaking farm in Ukraine, you actually start at 1,000 and you end up at 600,000. And so it changed radically the way you do farming, because you don't have farmers, you have a tractorist, you have accountants, you have innovation manager, and you are financial manager. And in the biggest agro-holding, you can get 1, 2, 3 data scientists who are doing only data science the whole day to get efficiency gain. Second idea that is really important to understand is that in this context, the role of public sector is really small. And when you touch AgTech in France, the BPI, the French Bank for Investment, the regions, the state is really a main player financing the innovation. In Ukraine, the private sector is financing all. So any innovation is coming from the private sector. It means as well that there is low trust and low cooperation among innovation. It's really important to understand. A third idea is that return on investment is a key. So you don't develop any solution or even a concept or proof of concept for an idea or for kind of challenge. It's only to get money and to get back your money after 3 years. And ROI is the key of everything. Fourth idea is agronomy. For the last 10 years in Ukraine, we've seen a reinvestment of lands that have been uncultivated after the collapse of the USSR. And all the innovation has been focused on managing this farm and controlling the operation. And the next stage of investment is focused now on agronomy. So they're just now trying to play with that data to increase the yield and to increase the performance. That is to say that it's really important for us French to understand what is happening now in Ukraine, because the competitiveness of Ukraine and Russia in the wheat sector and crop sector is already high. And with the new solution coming, it will be even higher for them, and they will be, I think they can still get +10 or +20% gain over yield productivity. And last idea
is very interesting to notice, because Russia has become the world #1 exporter of wheat already.
Yeah, already, and it's not finished, meaning that when you come back, and you really have to imagine that this guy came back with lands that have not been cultivated for 5 or 10 years, and they spend years to control it, and now they're investing this money to increase the yield. And they are not deploying sensors, they are not deploying drones, they are not deploying the latest artificial intelligence, and they're actually able to make some cash over it. And this is just the beginning in this area. And last idea that is really important to understand, I mentioned it, is no trust. In France, we are used to get this kind of cooperation between people, between organizations, and actually what InVivo is doing today is this kind of cooperation. In Ukraine, Russia, and Kazakhstan, when you invest over your own solution, you don't want to share it with your neighbor, and you don't want to share your data. So that's a key break for them as well, because at some point, they will need to share data and to be able to establish some trust between partners. Next slide, please. So just 3 pictures to just show the difference. So everyone knows drone in France, but we barely see this in the field. Why? Because farms are too small and it costs too much to deploy. But when one plot is reaching 500 hectares, for instance, and when your farm is 14,000 hectares, it's actually valuable to operate drones. And it's really interesting to take a look at companies like Drone Ukraine, for instance, that are big companies with 40 employees that are operating drones all over the country and actually deploying drone services that are available for farmers. Second picture is actually, I took this picture in AgroRegion, that is one of the most advanced agro-holding in Ukraine. And AgroRegion has a kind of a control center, and they're controlling all the operation on the farm. So it's really to make you understand what is digitization in Ukraine. It's really a way, like in an airport in France, you really control your operation. You can see in live all your machine, to control your driver, to get the fuel consumption in live, and to make some analysis in live of this. And it's really important to understand. And last picture is it's a picture taken in Dnipropetrovsk region last year in a farm. So you see the size of the plot, and you already understand why you can make some array over data and AgTech there, because when your plot is so large, when you gain 10% over this size, you already earn money, and that's a big difference with France. Last slide is just 3 questions to open the discussion. So what should we do with Russia, Ukraine, and Kazakhstan in this ecosystem? You see that lots of solutions, and I can take Cropio, for instance, that is a really nice farm management system, are coming from there. What is our interest? We don't have the same size, so when developing AgTech solution, is it interesting to go for cooperation with this ecosystem or try to compete? Then the second question is, what is, and it's linked to the third one as well, what is the most important to succeed in terms of AgTech? Because data and artificial intelligence need heterogeneity. And the chance of France is that we have a lot of different contexts and we're able to share this data. In Ukraine, even if you farm 500,000 hectares, the heterogeneity of your data is quite low. So if you want to build models and strong model, at some point you will need partners and you will need trust. And that's a big question for the future, because if Ukraine and Russia have the surface, they will need some kind of ability to share and to establish partnership, and that's really difficult for them. So that's where I think it's interesting for us French not to compete, but to try to do some kind of competition, cooperation plus competition with this ecosystem, and to enlarge our view and our opportunities for a solution. And lots of things has to be done. But of course, doing that will increase competitivity of this ecosystem, of this market, and decrease the competitivity of French agriculture. That is a political choice to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pierre. Well, it will be interesting to see how Mélanie and Thierry can react to your presentation and see whether there is some potential business for their companies in this country, really, because it seems to be a pretty high potential for companies like that and for these agro holdings, especially in grain production. Svetlana, are there agro holdings as well in Bulgaria? I noted this huge difference in scale, in the size of farms and plots. Is it the same in Bulgaria?
Yes, depends on the point of view, but yes, most of our, let's say, grain producers, cereal producers are with big plots. 80% of our farmers are small and medium, but they are mainly in the livestock or fruit and vegetable production. So for the cereal production, we have very big companies dealing with cereals, and medium, let's say.
And this,
so like Romania, for example. Yeah.
Okay. What about this this trust, this point that Pierre made about trust? Do you think that for Bulgaria there would be also some market for softwares or algorithms that would be more trusted actually than agronomists for modeling, for example, in farming?
Yes, I believe so. Yes, I think these kind of solutions are very welcome for Bulgarian farmers, but depends on the holding itself. You know, we cannot make it like common for everyone. Depends in which region in Bulgaria, for example, for which sector is this software can be implemented. And of course, for how much, because depends on the financial situation of each farmer.
Yeah. So Pierre, what you explained about this agronomy as a service, I think is very interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a big, I mean, it's quite kind of specific to the former USSR part where agronomists, old agronomists came to work at kolkhoz, and where the relationship with the farm that is not yours is different. So you don't, you have not so much interest to actually increase the yield, and sometimes you have more interest to get like direct profit for yourself. And you still have this kind, in the old generation, you still have this kind of behavior. That's why the finance component and division of the agro-holding are really investing over tools that can control as well the agronomist, and then can not replace, but if you can make 50% of the job with decision support tool and with data, and then you can tell your agronomist what to do, you're more secure and you will lose less money. But of course, a new generation, and that's really interesting to see, in Ukraine, you have new generation of agronomists that are really good at working with digital tools. But still, and that's really important to understand, digital tools are placed closer to the finance division of agroholding than the agronomic one. It's more a question of managing finance than agronomy.
Okay, yeah, we're going back to this demographic challenge that Svetlana pointed earlier. Okay, let's go more into depth with digital farming and softwares. Mélanie, could you please explain us what kind of solutions SMAG is now putting on the market for farmers and for technicians in France, at least?
Yes, right sure. Okay, so next slide, please. So first of all, who are we, SMAG? So we are providing farm management solutions in the cloud, which means that everything is in the cloud. We are controlling, we are editing a software. We are around 150 employees in 5 locations, mainly in France. Personally, I'm in the south of France. I'm one of the lucky ones. We are managing 10 million hectares of fields with our platforms in France. We have something like 400 customers, which are mainly agricultural organizations. And within these 400 customers, we have 30,000, let's say, users, which are either farmers or agro consultants. So let me explain why we have both users. So in the next slide, please. As I said when I presented myself, SMAG started working on digitalization of the agriculture 20 years ago. And 20 years ago, the main concern really was how to avoid this huge amount of paperwork farmers had to do to check if they are consistent or compliant with the regulation of the French government. So we started by building a tool, which we can call a SMAG Farmer right now, which was really oriented around regulation. And over the years, we enriched it within agronomy and financial analysis and services. The specificity of our solution at SMAG is that we are not only providing a software for the farmers, we are also providing another software which is working within some kind of mirror effect with the farmer software for the agro consultant from the French cooperatives, for the agricultural cooperatives. So this is really something huge in France. Something like 75% of the farmers are part of an agricultural cooperative. So these agricultural cooperatives are mainly here to help farmers buy some fertilizing products or pesticides in common, but they are also providing advices to the farmers. So because they are providing advices to the farmers, we have another software which we are calling SMAG Expert, dedicated to them, with which they can help the farmers making better choices. So typically the farmer will have the ability within a mobile device to put all the observations, everything they do in the field on the software. They will also have financial analysis. They will have a check on regulation. So for instance, if they put if they are pouring some pesticide or some water on the fields, the software will tell them if it's over or just under the regulation, etc., etc. It will provide agronomic advices as well. And then everything can be traced by the agro consultant for him or her to help the farmer make better choices. So again, within this other software, you are providing specific services like fertilizing planning, spreading map, and others. And we are also working with Thierry's company, because you can order some services like DMT or VIP services directly from there. So this is what we are doing. We are still doing that, but this is our original service. And then because our farmers are having very good practices, which are better and better for their environment. Earlier, you talked about climate change and all these challenges that we will have to face. The farmers in France are really, for most of them, aware of this situation, and they are trying to do their best to change the situation. So they are changing their agricultural practices, and what we need to do right now is helping them to add some value in those changes they are doing. So we need them to make more money because they are doing a lot of effort in increasing biodiversity or in pouring less and less fertilizer or fertilizing product or pesticides, etc., etc. So for that, we enriched our suite of software with two different, well, I should say 3 different solutions. The first one, which is called SMAG Trace, is really dedicated on traceability. So we will be collecting all this information that we have from all the observations, interventions that were done by the farmer or the agro consultant, enrich them with other information and make sure that the farm or what is grown is consistent with something which will be recognized by the final consumer, which is a certification. And last but not least, we will consolidate all those data and information and be able to provide them to the cooperative or to the food industry for them to analyze, compare, and then ultimately, so this is the last part on the right of my slide, expose it to the consumer for them to see the certification or the good practices. So next slide, please, if I can summarize it in an example. Let's take our farmer. So mainly for SMAG, the farmer is someone growing corn, wheat, colza, or cereals, let's say. This farmer is accompanied by an agronomist from his cooperative, and the cooperative wants to add some value in the product that the farmer is doing. So they are choosing a certification. Let's take this one, which is really French, which is called HVE, which stands for high environmental value. So this is a certification from the French government, which is very specific on how much effort you put in biodiversity or in being less and less dependent to pesticides and so on and so forth. So the cooperative will help the farmer prove that they can be granted with this certification. The cooperative will then pass this information to the food industry and make sure that this information is proven. It's not only I declare that I am certified, here are the data to prove that I am certified. And then we will be able to expose this information, which is a certified certification, if I can say so, to the consumer.
Okay, so that's really interesting because I'm interested in the combination between economic performance and environmental performance, and then how to make this visible for the end consumer. That's probably the challenge, everybody's challenge right now.
Yeah, so if you can just go back to the previous slide for a moment. Remember, I was saying that this farmer was growing wheat, for instance. You are going through this chain, and ultimately, and I can tell you that this is happening right now, you can see in the market your baguette, your French baguette. Well, remember, I'm French, huh? I eat baguette, with the little logo, the HVE logo in your supermarket or in your market. So this is really the chain from the very beginning, which is growing, to the end, which is what we are eating. So from farm to fork. Obviously, this is software. So if you can go to the next slide, please. Obviously, this is software, so we have challenges. So the first challenge when we started, and Svetlana mentioned it a little bit earlier, and Pierre as well, is how to learn a software, particularly if people are growing old. So in our case, the solution was for our farmers to be accompanied by our agricultural cooperatives for the management of their farm. So their consultants are helping them with the software, are providing some trainings, etc., etc. So in our case, they are really playing a central role in the digitalization of the farmers. The second challenge is what we are calling in my software world interoperability. Interoperability means that data are coming from different sources with different way of putting it and naming it and different formatting, etc., etc. So if we want to be able to provide a service which is going from the farm to the fork, we have a huge work, I would say, on the back end of the software to format and make sure that we can mix and read all those data together. So this is really important. You have the formatting, you also have the quality of the data, because remember that the first data are the ones that are entered by the farmer directly on the mobile phone. So if you have, I don't know, a comma issue or whatever unit issue, you have to clean up the data. Last but not least, data security. So this is a main concern in France, but not only in France. One of our first answer to that is, first of all, our database are hosted in France with all of the European security around it. And the second answer to that, and Pierre mentioned trust and everything like that, is that for us, the data belong to the farmers. And they are the only ones that can consent to share them. So by using our tool SMAG Farmer, they have options to say, I'm okay to share this and this and this data with the consultant of my cooperative. If they don't want to share, for instance, financial results, it's a right not to share it at all. And that's it on my side.
Okay, thank you very much, Mélanie. Thank you. There is a question actually from the public, but I'd like to give the floor to Thierry because the time is flying. There's a question on blockchain. Someone is asking whether blockchain is up and running in Eastern Europe, and Are there examples? We'll keep it for the end of the discussion, and I'd like to hear from Thierry Darbin right now about his BAP solutions for very precise agriculture.
Yeah, thank you. So as Mélanie said, France is a country with a strong agricultural tradition. Mostly, we are farmers from father to son. Farmers often see themselves as growers of agricultural products. They don't have big farm as Ukraine, and they want high yield. They have been able to take advantages of technical progress, equipment, and inputs. Today, to continue to undertake, to progress, to make a living while meeting society expectation, they must evolve their farming method, and precision farming is one of the possibilities. Next slide, please. Intra-field precision farming, agriculture de précision intraparcellaire in French, hence the name API, consists of carrying out the right cropping interventions, spreading or applying the right inputs in the right place at the right moment using variable rate technologies. Obviously, the more heterogeneous fields are, stronger as the economic and environmental benefits. Next slide. To visualize the intra-field heterogeneity, we develop a web application, very simple to use. You enter your location, you select your fields, and then you will see the heterogeneity index. When the field, as you see, contains lot of red pixels, the intra-site heterogeneity is high. In contrary, when the field contains lot of blue pixels, the intra-site heterogeneity is low. The index designed by our R&D quantifies the loss of crop productivity due to the intra-field heterogeneity. The aim of this tool is to arouse the interest of farmers and stimulate their curiosity in order to facilitate their decision to implement precision farming. Big data has made such a possible tool. We have aggregated a huge amount of data from different sources, Ministry of Agriculture to have the field outline, satellite, National Geographic Institute, and so on, and use an extremely powerful calculation algorithm to develop this very simple and user-friendly tool that works everywhere in France. Next slide, please. As you know better than me, the main goals of precision farming are first, to improve soil in homogenizing them little by little if possible, and two, to adjust farming practices and input rates to soil productivity. Next slide. To promote the development of intra-field precision farming, BAP offers a complete, turnkey, and proven solution to the farmer by relying on co-ops which have a local base and can support their customers. The process begins with the realization of a reliable and precise diagnosis of intra-field heterogeneity. Each year, the crop agronomist and the farmer optimize farming practices and input rates. Then the farmer can consult and download the advice maps on a web platform called MyBAP, and transform them into variable rate files compatible with this equipment. After harvest, he completes an assessment with this co-op to determine the economic and environmental benefits obtained by the process. Next slide, please. The site-specific management of soil and crops farmers will increase their yields at the best cost. In this spectacular example obtained in Normandy, rapeseed yield increased up to 60% from 2.5 to 4 tons per hectare. But the most important thing is the pride of the farmer who claims to whomever is willing to hear it that he has the most accurate and responsible practices, and he can easily prove it. Next slide. Precision farming, performing the diagnosis is a key step. Its quality commits the future of the approach for the next 10 years. The farmer must participate, understand to be able to adhere, and implement the changes it will bring out. It is also the starting point of a new story, and therefore it must go as smoothly as possible. As a French saying, the first impression is decisive. Next slide. To conclude, site-specific farming is a concept that emerged during the 90s. Now we are convinced that all the factors are aligned to develop it. Intra-field precision farming is one of the best ways to keep on progressing while meeting the expectations of the society. But to succeed, we are to bring stakeholders together, to renew agronomic models and references to adapt them to the intra-field dimension, to provide farmers with a new conception of farming, easy to access and implement. Everybody who is interested in such a project is welcome to join. French farmers are expecting a simple, overall, and consistent solution. So we need strong partnerships to bring together knowledges and technologies. We want to make our customers happy by using BAP solutions and to make them brand ambassadors. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Thierry. Thank you for this very good presentation, very detailed and very clear. I understand that for both for BAP and for SMAG, the role of cooperatives is key to educate farmers and technicians on how to use the solutions that you put together. So would there be perspectives for your solutions in countries like Ukraine and Bulgaria, and then how to educate stakeholders in Ukraine and Bulgaria about these possibilities?
Well, if I may, of course, the software can be used anywhere in the world unless we translate it in Russian or Bulgarian or whatever. The thing is, as Svetlana said, it's difficult to learn, and cooperatives in France have played a huge role. And this role is going beyond just training people in our selling model itself for SMAG. I'm speaking for SMAG, obviously. We are not directly selling our software to the farmers. We are the software is distributed by the cooperatives. So we can change this model and to have to be able to sell our solution in different countries. But obviously, it means that we have to find someone or some organization to relay and help us train everyone, every farmer within this solution.
Mm-hmm. Mélanie, there's actually a suggestion from one of the speakers. Yeah, Thierry, I will give you the floor in 1 second. But Mélanie, there's a suggestion made to you by one of the participants, Victor Nesterenko. Mm-hmm. Would SMAG be interested in a partnership with icorn.trade, trading and logistic platform born in Ukraine?
Well, easier to call us directly than answering right now.
Okay. Thierry, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, precision farming requires a lot of skills and know-how: agronomy, machinery, telematics, data processing. And in the French conditions, a single farmer in a small farm without private agronomist cannot do it alone. It's why we work with the co-ops, because these farmers need local and adapted support that the co-ops can bring to them.
Yeah.
But when we work with 900 hectares, for us is a very, very, very huge farm. The farmers ask us to be independent. So we make it direct. We work directly with him. We give him everything he needs to make by himself precision farming on the farm.
Okay.
So it's depending on the size.
Of course. So yeah, Svetlana. We cannot hear you.
Now, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, regarding the comment from Mélanie for the cooperatives and is it going to work in Bulgaria or not, I didn't say, but unfortunately in Bulgaria the cooperative structures are a little bit, how to say, people are still afraid they're associated with something else from the past times. But with hubs like ours, we can, how to say, replace this gap, because we can do like testing, like experiment with a group of farmers and to show them what are the benefits for them using such kind of
Oh, we cannot hear you anymore.
Maybe I have to switch here. Can you hear me? Yes, I lost the connection by my phone, but digital technology sometimes serve this, what to say. Anyway, it could be interesting to try, and even without cooperatives, even the cooperatives is really for me the most, how to say, good form for farmers to work together to benefit more. Even when you go to, let's say, take some subsidies under investment measure, under rural development program, it is good to go together, to buy this investment to be used from all the farmers in the group.
Pierre, did you want to add something? And there's actually a question from the public here. Are the agro holdings looking at environmental related issues as well, or is it purely economic gains that they are looking at?
Some agro holdings are looking at organic production, and you have some players that are focused for organic production in Ukraine, like one agro holding called Arnica, for instance. Arnica is 14,000 hectares, if I remember well. It's doing only sustainable food production and exporting all over the world, and but they're doing it for business, of course. And what is expected, I've seen in the question, that is a question about blockchain in this country. The answer is, of course, there is blockchain as a technology. Blockchain as a service has not emerged so far because of lack of trust between players. But what we are seeing already in the market, and especially in the poultry industry, you might know the MHP group that actually tried to buy Do 2 years ago. That is one of the main exporters of chicken in the world. And these people are already working for traceability scheme, and they will be able to develop their own blockchain to answer the need from the Western Europe. So blockchain is developing as a service, but it will be more, I think, developed by one agro holding or one main player. The difficulty to cooperate between players will be a key issue for agro holding. I don't think that they will be able to gather all together and to share a common architecture. I think it's a key issue.
Okay, thank you. I need to wrap up now. So thank you to the four of you, because we are about an hour from the beginning. So time is flying. Of course, we could carry on this conversation for the whole afternoon, but unfortunately, it's not possible. So thank you very much to each of you for sharing your views and perspectives and exchanging on this very interesting topic of digital agriculture. Crossing views between Western European countries and Eastern European countries. We heard a lot about yourselves. We understand that people need to get organized. There's a number of stakeholders involved, and they need to get to know each other and see what their needs are in order to make these technologies match the needs of the on the ground. We see that there are a number of digital tools that already exist to improve the economic and environmental performances of farming. It works, but people need to get to know each other, and of course to make some investments in these technologies. So that's actually really promising for agriculture right now. So thank you all. Thank you to the audience for their great questions. The next In Vivo Quest session will be taking place on November 17th to 19th, and this time we will focus on the UK and on Ireland, and we will give the floor to stakeholders in bio-based solutions, biostimulants, biocontrol products, and also on impact investment. So thank you very much, and I hope to see you then. Bye-bye.